The death toll in recent clashes which erupted between Konkumbas and Chokosis in the northeast region district of Treponi is rising to 3 in the latest provisional assessment by the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO. The assessment also reveals 1,860 people have been displaced. More persons are feared injured in days of violent clashes between the two feuding ethnic groups. The Northern Region NADMO coordinator Alhaji Abdullah Hindu, however, says they are still unable to reach the displaced due to the volatile situation. Now, we're joined on the line now by Alhaji Abdullah Hindu. Thank you very much for making time to speak with us. Now, after your initial assessment of the crisis, when are you able to provide food and water to the displaced people? Hello, Alhaji, if you can hear me. Yes, Alhaji, so yeah, I'd want to... You're right. So I'd want to know, after your initial assessment of the crisis, and you now being able to name the number of displaced or state the number of displaced people, when are you able to provide food and water to these people?
At the moment, the water that they said they have been distributed to the displaced people was from the district assemblies. It wasn't NADMO who does that. But NADMO has prepared maybe to move in tomorrow or tomorrow next. As we have started collating the assessment reports, the displaced people, we have a total number of 1,860, and together with the previous ones, that is January, that has happened. So today, in addition to what maybe we have recorded today, we want to make arrangements to move in tomorrow or tomorrow next to start the distribution of the items.
All right. Now, just stay on the line for me. I also have joining us on the phone line, it's Police PRO DSP Mohammed Yusuf Tanko. Thank you very much, Mr. Yusuf Tanko. Now, can you give us what the very latest security situation is at Treponi?
Yeah, thank you very much. Good evening to you and good evening to your viewers as well. The situation in Treponi and its environs is coming down. The tension is coming down. The burnings and the violence are ceasing thanks to the combined efforts of the police and the military on the ground. We are gradually bringing the situation under firm control, and we are sure in a few days we'll be able to deal with the situation altogether. But it is also important for the people to understand that no matter what the police and the military does, if they themselves are not ready to give peace a chance, it is a very difficult process. And so we are engaging them, we are engaging their leadership to still use the use of violence to try to deal with the differences that they have.
You also mentioned that a number of arrests have been made. Can you bring us up to date on the number of arrests made so far?
Yes, at the last count, we had arrested 8 persons in connection with the violence, and we had also retrieved 7 weapons. 6 of them were single-barrel guns, and 1 is a locally manufactured weapon.
Now, one of the challenges that NADMO has been facing is because they say there's still fighting going on in some areas, they're unable to access these areas. Are you now able to give them the clearance to go there?
NADMO can assess the area. And if NADMO wants to assess the area, they only have to tell the security and we will accompany them to wherever they want to go. Today, we recorded the burning of one other village. So, though it is regrettable that one village was touched, but I think the situation as it is now, it is not that bad. And anytime NADMO wants to go anywhere, we, the police in the region, together with our counterparts of the military, are ready to give them any escort that they need to anywhere that they want to go.
All right. Thank you very much, DSP Mohammed Yusuf Tanko. Now, we also have we still have on the line the NADMO coordinator, Alhaji Abdullah Hindu. Now, you've just heard the Northern Region Police PRO, Northeast Region Police PRO. He says that they're ready to provide cover for you anytime you want to go there. You were saying that you're actually going there tomorrow, so that's going to happen, I believe.
Yes, I think, like I said, we are able to go to some places since yesterday up to now. And that is why we are able to maybe give it the assessment report by letting about 1,860 displaced people. And even up to now, our men are still on the ground. Like we said, the district directors and then the zonal coordinators, they are still on the ground, maybe doing the distance. But in actual fact, what we are saying now is it's not about moving there maybe to do the assessment. The assessment is ongoing because we have 3 camps that we have demarcated for them. One in Bushogu, one in Cherponi, and the other one in Bunkurugu Yuyo. So at the moment, the Bushogu people are doing the recordings, Cherponi are doing same, and then Lakos, this place, what is it called, Bunkurugu Yuyo. So together with all these things that we want to have actually figure, the exact figure that maybe we're able to, assess. And then tomorrow we'll move in to see how we are going to do the distribution, or tomorrow next. But it's not about going there. About going there with the items, I think the police, like he said, and the military will call their attention maybe to guide us or lead us to the places, 0 places that we want to do the distance. Now it's about making the arrangements, the distribution plan that we are doing, how to go about it, is what we are on to now. Even I'm in the office right now with my counterpart. So we are working on it.
All right. Thank you very much, Northern Region NADMO Coordinator Alhaji Abdullah Hindu. Meanwhile, Deputy Northern Regional Minister Designate John Benham says he will work to ensure proactive intelligence sharing so as to end the recurring violence in Tripoli. Renewed violence outbreak has led to deaths and destruction of property there over the last few days. Responding to questions during his vetting before Parliament's Appointment Committee, Mr. Benham said he will bring his experiences in conflict resolution to help facilitate lasting peace in the area.
Luckily, I've had the opportunity to study conflict, peace, and security, even though I haven't finished. The little I know about conflict is we don't have to just wait till it comes. I will support the minister to get all the security experts, put their ears on the ground, so that anytime there is a least thing somewhere, we move in before it escalates into something else. Besides, we have to do a lot of education. We need to get our people understand the need for peaceful coexistence. And we just have to let them know that without peace, there wouldn't be development. That's one, Mr. Chairman, I can assure you is something I will do every day with my minister for us to continue to enjoy peace in the northern region.
4 police officers have been interdicted for stealing cables, fridges and other valuables from the Sajavo power barge at Efaso near Hafasini. The Hafasini Police Commander DSP Zenge McCarthy, who confirmed the interdiction to JoyNews, says 2 of the officers in question, Lance Corporal Peter Zato and Lance Corporal Ibrahim Mohammed, who were initially arrested, have named 2 other police officers. The officers had been assigned there to protect the Sajavo barge, but ended up stealing from the power plant. DSP Zenge McCarthy is the Hafasini Police Commander.
The Osajifo barge is located in the Jomoro district, or Jomoro Municipal Assembly here in Hafasini. And you know, that place, police have been put on guard duty there to protect the property there. On the 16th of February 2019, some policemen who were detailed on duty there to take charge of the property there themselves turned to steal some items there. And the police got information and laid ambush, and lo and behold, we were able to arrest them, and we conducted a search in the car, and then we found some items there. They were assorted items, including 6 burner gas stoves, fridges, and then a quantity of electric cables. What is going on now is that the policemen, as we speak, are on interdiction. The case is being forwarded to the regional CID, and definitely the policemen and then the 5 civilians who were also part of the stealing things indicate the law will take its course. I'm told when they were sent to the regional headquarters, upon further interrogation, they also mentioned some 2 other police officers' names. So those police officers who are part of this, so they are also interdicted. So in all, four police officers have been interdicted in this stealing syndicate at the Kwame Nkrumah batch.
Now, leadership of the governing New Patriotic Party has, after 25 days, operationalized President Akoo Addo's directive by writing to invite the opposition NDC to a meeting to deliberate on disbanding party militias from Ghana's politics. President Akoo Addo at this year's State of the Nation address charged the leadership of his party to engage their opposition counterparts on dealing with the menace. After a lot of backpassing and exchange of letters between the NDC leadership and President Akoo Addo, that letter from the NPP to the NDC has finally been dispatched, and I'm going to share that with you. The letter dated March 15, 2019 reads, "On behalf of the NPP, I am pleased to officially invite you, the NDC, to a meeting to discuss the menace of political vigilantism which has gained notoriety in the country and explore ways of permanently disbanding the various vigilante groups associated with Ghana's 2 major political parties." The invitation has been necessitated not only by the President's call during the 2019 State of the Nation's address, but also by the legitimate concerns expressed by overwhelming Ghanaians about this menace and the need for the 2 political parties to do the needful in the interest of the nation. You would recall that since the President made this call, our national chairman, Honorable Freddie Blay, has been engaging your good self on telephone conversations on the subject. We think that time is now ripe for the parties to hold this crucial meeting, which the whole nation has been looking forward to. We have also taken notice of your request to expand the scope of the engagement to include multiple stakeholders and wish to assure that the NPP avails itself for the consideration at the meeting, which will afford the 2 parties the opportunity to agree on the various stakeholders to be invited in the subsequent engagement. The MP proposes that this crucial meeting comes off during this week at a venue convenient to you. And so we entreat you to, as soon as possible, get in touch with the party when you find a suitable venue for this meeting. And it's signed by John Wood, who's the General Secretary of the governing New Patriotic Party. Meanwhile, in a meeting with the Ghana Bar Association at Jubilee House Tuesday afternoon, President Akoo Addo reiterated his commitment to disband party militias.
We're going to have a law-based state. Our actions, both as communities and as individuals, governed by the rule of law. The responsibility cannot only be that of the state. The wider society is involved. Obviously, the state must take a primary role, because the enforcement of laws is squarely the responsibility of the executive in our own constitutional arrangements, and so it should be. And I believe that calling upon the executive to be alive to its responsibilities is an important civic responsibility you're discharging. And I'm sensitive to it and accept the challenge of what we need to do to ensure that our society is not one which condones impunity. The issue of vigilantism and all of that forms part and parcel of these acts of impunity that we need to deal with. We're dealing with it in difficult circumstances. There's still considerable unemployment for the youth of our country. So it's relatively easy to co-opt, I wouldn't call them innocent, but young people into all kinds of dangerous activities. But we need to come to grips with it. And I want to assure you, and through you, the Ghanaian people, that whatever steps that need to be taken to deal with these phenomena of impunity, I'm going to do my best to take it. I call for your support and the support of all right-thinking citizens in our society to contribute to the effort that is being made to drive impunity out of our system and to uphold and safeguard the rule of law.
You're watching JoyNews Prime. We're taking a break, but still ahead in the bulletin, the Food and Agriculture Organization is concerned the population of West Africa is growing fatter by the day.
Of urban areas is growing faster than the population of rural areas, basically because of rural-urban migration. And then linked to that is the increase in middle class, increase in income as nations in Africa are growing.
The population agrees, and some people are doing something about it.
I have 5 children, 2 boys, 3 girls. They are all fat. In use of herbal drinks, she's still a bonnie.
We will explore whether the weight loss strategies that have been adopted, such as keto, are safe. There's a dietitian and a gym instructor we'll be speaking with. Do stay tuned in. Now, the population of fat people in West Africa is growing by the day. That's according to figures supplied by the Food and Agriculture Organization, which also noticed that most of the people found to be overweight and obese are mainly in urban areas. Now, to try and shed some of the excess weight, many, especially in the working class, are resorting to quick fix weight loss plans, which provide no strategy to keep the weight off. The next piece will engage people in Ghana, Sierra Leone, the Gambia, and Togo on the subject. And it's all put together by someone who calls herself fat.
The weighing scale. We have a love and hate relationship. On days I feel my face is not looking too chubby, I'm in a hurry to know how many kilos I've lost. On a day like today, when my neck looks full, no way. Where I come from, overweight used to be a sign of good living, but not anymore. That is difficult to admit on camera. I am overweight. I will withhold my name for now. It will be the last thing you hear in this piece. The Food and Agriculture Organization State of Food and Nutrition Security of 2018 estimated there are about 47.6 million people suffering from undernutrition in West Africa. However, the prevalence of obesity in adults has increased from 6.4% in 2012 to 7.7% in 2017. In the heart of Accra, Jamestown, meet sisters Rose and Monica. 58 years old Monica Okine tells me she believes making wrong food choices caused her weight gain. 2 of her children are overweight, and she now advises them to exercise.
I have 5 children, 2 boys, 3 girls. They are all fat. When I was 25 years, I used to eat pork. I like pork, fat foods, you see. So I think that's why I've been making fat. Because when I was 40, I stopped all this. But the fat, I think the one I've been eating is the problem.
According to Monica, she grew up in an era where society tagged one beautiful because they are rounded and full. She has tried some diet plans without results. She doesn't know her current weight.
When people saw you when you are fat, hey, you are fine. Oh, you are making fine. So you don't think about making any exercise because you think you are making fine. In use of herbal drinks, she's still a bonnie.
Rose, 65, says though she is overweight, she feels thin when in town with Monica.
I work a lot, but anytime I'm with Monica, we have to take a taxi.
Meet 41 years old Francisca Lamte. She believes her weight gain is hereditary because all her diet plans and exercises have failed.
I
take weight loss medication and exercise sometimes, but I don't lose weight. It runs in the family.
Problem about if like I fine because
I know that feeling of trying diet plans with zero results. The failure is so frustrating. I've become my own private health food chef, collecting food images for inspiration. Urbanization is changing local diet and lifestyle. All the women we spoke to in Accra admitted to eating fast and junk food at night. Type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease and stroke, sleep apnea, osteoarthritis, fatty liver disease, kidney disease are some of the health problems linked to overweight and obesity. Now in the Gambia, prevalence of overweight among adults in that country has grown 6.2% between 2007 and 2016, according to Report Linker. With the effects of obesity in mind, Gambia's former Minister of Sports and Interior, Sherif Gomez, initiated the health walk in his province. We caught up with these fitness enthusiasts on Saturday.
7,100.
7,100.
Wow. 5.5 kilometers.
5.5 Ks.
Wow.
5.5. Good one. That's a good one. Good distance.
Mr. Gomez hopes to make the weekly health walk a national event. He suggests some ways to deal with the obesity trend.
Let's reflect back and look at what we were doing right, and what are we doing wrong now to cause this phenomena in obesity. Again, we must, once we've done that, we should find the solutions. Once we've done that, we should also get out to be more active.
Nigeria also continues to grow fatter. A recent study published in the Open Access Journal indicated how obesity is rising in Nigeria, blaming Western culture on diets and lifestyle. Just as Monica told us, at Jamestown in Ghana, weight goes with prosperity. In Nigeria as well. Some people say they come from a place of fat. One of such people is Mohammed Kone in Freetown, Sierra Leone. He believes it is okay to gain weight, but one must be careful not to become obese, and he shares how he maintains his weight.
Most man, as a human being, you for fat, but you not for too much fat in a way that you never even able to work out. You for fat, but you forget limits. I born my fat one. I go from way as small, and so I grow. Till up till now, my fatness day with me. The reason I make us know you get some, because God give me, na nature.
He, however, disagrees with the assertion overeating makes people gain weight.
People like you say, some man they fat because of the eats. But me, I tell them say, some people and they not for that, but some people and they for me. The reason to make us know you get and they can't fat naturally. And so me day, I eat and not eat. I exercise my body now so in day. So now nature, now God give me. So whenever you get in life, and I really tell God Almighty, thank you for what you do for me.
I spoke to Ayele, a trader at Asigame in Togo. She recounts how her weight posed a challenge during a military unrest in the country.
During the political unrest, people were running, but I couldn't run. I couldn't hide under the bed, but I have lost some weight now.
Another woman, Yvette, says she lost control of her weight after giving birth and now depends on painkillers due to her waist pain. I am convinced I need to lose weight. Difficult as it may be, it has to be done. I am my own body goal. My name is Seyram Abla de Souza.
All right, so now you know who put together the story. We're going to delve a lot deeper into this conversation with people who know what needs to be done. We have a gym instructor and then a dietitian who's already in the studio with us. Good evening to you.
Good evening, sir.
All right, now before we come to them, though, rural-urban migration, limited time for self-care, increased income have been identified as some of the factors at the core of overweight and obesity in the region. Let's listen to the Senior Nutrition and Food Systems Officer with the Food and Agriculture Organization in Fumuzi Sukate.
In fact, the trend that we are seeing now is that more people are moving from rural areas to urban areas. And then linked to that, basically, if you are drawing the curve of the increase in population, we are seeing that the population of urban areas is growing faster than the population of rural areas, basically because of rural-urban migration. And then linked to that is the increase in middle class, increase in income as nations in Africa are growing with that increasing in income.
All right, so Dede Kwajo is a senior dietitian at the Kolubu Teaching Hospital, and she has joined us. Thank you very much, Dede. So we've seen the problem. I'm sure it's a problem you have to deal with constantly at work.
Yes.
All right. How serious is it?
It has been increasing over recent times because of the dispensation in which we are in. We are more sedentary in our lifestyle. Due to industry, we are now having a lot of foods that are high in fat, in sugar. I dare say people are consuming more alcohol than ever before. And all these things are coming to play where we are now having a lot to take in and a little to take out. So obesity is not just in Ghana, worldwide. The trend has been shown to be increasing in very alarming proportions.
Why do I have to worry if I become fat or obese?
Unfortunately, unlike what most people think, that maybe obesity is looking nice or being well taken care of, it has been linked to a lot of non-communicable diseases. So you are likely to be exposed to getting other conditions when you're obese. So let's take, for example, somebody who is not obese and someone who is obese. The person is likely to develop diseases such as diabetes, hypertension, cardiac problems, just by virtue of the fact that the person is obese, and that is quite alarming.
Okay, let's look at some of the options that people are adopting or strategies that people are adopting to shed this excess weight. What are some of the options you would advise as a dietitian?
Well, the best
or
way...
what are, okay, let's first of all start with what they are doing, and then I get you to advise what they should be doing.
Okay, we are having all sorts of things coming on board. Water therapy, fruits and vegetables alone. Some people
water therapy, as in they drink only water?
Mostly water in large proportions, because water has very low calories, almost zero. You can say zero if it's not flavored or sweetened. It's actually...
So they drink water to get full?
To get full and not eat anything that should have carbohydrates or something.
All right. So then you talked about fruits and vegetables.
Yes. The fruits and vegetables, when used rightly in a balanced diet, are actually very helpful to let you lose weight. But in the case where people are making it the main meal and cutting down drastically on their carbs, it changes a lot of things and rather brings about more issues. So they are using that. Others are just starving, not eating enough for their activity level. Let's take, for example, someone takes just breakfast and then the whole day doesn't eat anything again. in a bid to lose some weight.
All right. The other one that it's quite popular and which people have been talking about is keto.
Yeah.
We'll come to that in a bit, but I also have joining us on phone now is Sule Ibrahim. He's with the Ghana Armed Forces Physical Training School. Thank you very much, Mr. Ibrahim, for making time to speak with us. So now apparently you're at the gym and you know quite a bit about what is going on. All right, so it turns out we have lost Sule Ibrahim. So let's go on with a keto conversation. People are adopting keto. First, explain to us what this keto is about.
Okay, let me start from what the normal balanced diet should be. In there you have some carbohydrates, you have some fats, you have some proteins. The body has been seen to prefer carbohydrates. So in the normal scheme of things, your body is going to use your carbs as energy, preferably above maybe your fat or your proteins. But in the keto diet, there's a shift, an attempt to move the body's preference for carbohydrates to fat. So you lower the carbohydrates and make them unavailable to the body, and then increase the fat. So the body is forced to use the fat as energy. So that's just basically what the keto diet is.
I come to your advice on that one, but I'm told we have Sule Ibrahim back on the line now. Thank you very much, Mr. Ibrahim. So you tell us, what would you advise? I'm sure you have encountered a lot of people coming to your gym. I understand you work at the gym, and so you encounter a lot of these people. How are you getting them to lose the excess weight?
Oh, thank you very much. First, we have to look about what is meant by obesity. Obesity is a state of being overweight with a lot of body fat. And generally, it is caused by eating more calories and not working out effectively. And then it can be caused by genetic reasons. That's inheritance from any family member, being it the father or the mother. To work out, you have to exercise. And exercise, as we know, is any bodily movement in order to develop or maintain your physical fitness. And we have exercises that can let you, can bring you down. That's when you are obese, such as fast walking, that's brisk walking. You know, any walking can be an exercise, but when you are walking without an aim of exercising, you don't gain anything from it. So when you are walking, it has to be briskly.
Now, you have seen, I don't know if you saw the people we have been speaking with, who it's clear they're quite obese. Would you advise just anybody at all who's obese to just get into an exercise regime?
You know, in our gym, if somebody comes to your gym, what you have to take into consideration is the BMI. The person's weight, the height, then you check the person's BMI before you take any exercise on a person. Also, you take the person on swimming for about 2 or 3 hours in a day. And that can be taken twice or thrice in a week.
All right.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you very much, Sule Ibrahim, physical instructor with the Ghana Armed Forces Physical Training School. I would wish we'd have continued with the conversation, but I would want to come to you, Dede. Would you say this keto diet or this strategy works? Well, it works for some people, but would you say it's advisable?
Okay, when we look at the word works, you will lose weight on it because it's an extreme diet where your carbohydrates are very low, and so it's a side. Okay, this is how we put it. The side effect of the ketone diet is weight loss, so you are going to lose weight, but losing weight in the wrong way, which is not healthy, rather brings about a lot of issues.
Such as?
Such as most people can have renal issues, renal impairment, electrolyte imbalance, and it can be a trigger for other conditions because the body goes under stress you are changing its normal way of doing things. And once that happens, the organs all have to come together to try to bring some balance. So there's an extreme stress on the body. And it brings about a lot of conditions. Someone who is on a keto diet could become diabetic.
Okay.
Yes, could have a renal problem, could have a liver problem. In fact, cholesterol levels go very high in a keto diet.
Wow.
That's one thing they never say.
Oh, wow.
Your cholesterol level will go high when you're on a keto diet. And once your cholesterol levels go high, it's an indication for a heart problem.
Ouch. That's scary.
It's scary.
But thank you very much, Dede Kojo. She's a senior dietitian at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, and she has been speaking to us about some ways to lose weight when it comes to dieting. New details are emerging about the unreliable supply of energy in the country. Though the Ghana Grid Company is assuring stable power supply because of completion of works on the relocation of a 330 kilovolts at Pukwase, JoyNews is learning inadequate supply of gas from Nigeria and other sources, as well as a huge debt in the sector, could be partly to blame for the shortfall experienced last week. But the good news is that the country is out of the woods. That's according to President Akoo Addo. More on him shortly, but first listening to the concerns of the Ghana Bar Association President Tony Forsing.
First of all, there seems to be some general level of intolerance in the society, which leads to violence. For example, things like persons misunderstanding lawfully constituted authority, attacking police officers, immigration officers, and it is our hope that these things will be nipped in the bud before it gets out of hand. Allied closely to that is the issue of vigilantism, where you have taken a bold step, like you took in the Galamsey fight, to also put an end to this. Indeed, it is my prayer that in the run-up to the 2020 elections, once this bold effort has started, we should start conscientizing people and educating people on the need for peace during the electioneering campaign and afterwards. So we would encourage you, Mr. President, to continue in that trajectory, to hold firm the issue of peace.
President Akoo Addo says despite the challenges, the past situation will normalize soon.
You know, what we inherited was a sector in disarray, over $5 billion worth of debt. Was what we came to meet in office. Arrangements that continue to be very debilitating for the public exchequer. We've been bound to a series of these so-called take or pay agreements, which means that even if you don't use the energy that you've contracted for, you still have to pay for it. And it imposes a very big burden on the finances of the country. And every now and then, it has an impact. But apart from the financial consequences, there are also logistical matters that have come about. The attempt now to bring gas on board as the major source of fuel for the energy sector has also ran temporarily into some difficulties. But I believe that the worst part of what we've recently seen is behind us, and that we should be seeing a much more even and stable and regular source of supply of energy in the country. It's important.
The president also addressed the matter of the dwindling fortunes of the cedi against the other trading currencies. He blames the country's states for imported goods for the anomaly. He assures the trend will soon change as government moves to industrialize under the One District, One Factory initiative.
The difficulties that temporary dislocations in the currency bring about are something that all of us have. It touches all of us. and there's a need for us to find solutions. But I'm thinking that our public discourse should also begin to focus much more on some of the structural problems involved in our currency. Then we have, yes, there are moments when you can fault or look askance at the manner in which the currency is being managed at any one given time. But there are structural problems that we so far do not articulate loudly enough, in my view. What are these structural problems? We live in a country where we are overly dependent on the importation of things for our daily sustenance. Things that we can produce, we continue to import them. And at the same time, we don't generate enough exports. We need, because it is the issue on the current account, the persistent deficits in our national income statistics on current account. That is the responsibility. That is what gives rise to the frailty of our currency. This is a matter that we should, all of us, understand as the origin of the real fragility of our currency.
The Legal Aid Commission says it may be difficult for them to represent the driver and conductor seen in a video punching a police officer. The two have been slapped with 4 charges, including assault of a public officer, but they have no legal representation. According to the Executive Director of Legal Aid, Al-Hassan Yahya, its outfit is struggling to provide legal assistance to the poor and vulnerable in society because of inadequate resources and funding. Henry Kwesi Bedu has more.
The driver and his conductor have since been arrested, slapped with charges before court, and remanded for 2 weeks. The two have no legal representation. The Legal Aid Commission of Ghana, which has the mandate to represent the poor and the vulnerable, say they may be unable to represent the two because of resource constraints. The Executive Director of Legal Aid, Al-Hassan Yahya, says the entire commission has just 22 lawyers across the country.
Even if we limited legal aid to poor people, it means about 1/3 of 30 million people need and deserve legal aid, and legal aid should be available for them. And if legal aid is provided by lawyers, and definitely the 22 or so lawyers that legal aid scheme has at its core providers, is woefully inadequate to provide the services that legal aid is required to provide. Basically, depending on how serious the offenses are, legal aid will become essential. If the offenses are minor, normally the legal representation will not be that critical. Assault generally is not what the lawyers call a felony. It's a misdemeanor. And assault on the police officer is a more serious one than the normal assault. Yes, I admit. But it still is not as serious given our resource and constraints.
Jerry Osaipoku, a lawyer at the Legal Aid Commission, says he's always inundated with many cases. He called on private firms to take up some of the cases pro bono to ease the pressure currently on the commission.
The workload of the lawyers at the Legal Aid Commission is quite hefty. Apart from court representations, you have to come back, you have client consultations, and based on the outcome of those client consultations, if you have to take up some of the cases, you also have documents you need to draft, advice you need to render, and then the rest. And so you have a situation where sometimes you come back from court very tired. You come and meet a queue of people, and you have to give advice. They have to be given opportunity to consult a lawyer. And sometimes you find out that because you are so drained, even the advice that you are giving sometimes is not well thought through, because we have a number of private law firms which are doing very well. If we come up with some sort of scheme whereby each year a law firm takes up a number of briefs of legal aid to handle, and then there's some way of monitoring or tracking how they are working on the case, the progress of such cases, how well they are handling them, it will also help.
The Legal Aid Commission is appealing to philanthropic individuals and donors to partner them to revive the commission, which is almost on the verge of collapse due to limited resources. Henry Kwesi Bedu's report for Joy.
Now, most indigenous Ghanaian names tend to have meanings, names which translated into English would sound somewhat ridiculous. For instance, an Akam name such as Nyamiche Opoku could translate to God's gift Opoku, whilst a Dagbani name such as Mbatma Yusuf will mean my father gave to me Yusuf. It's along these same lines that an Ewe name such as Maupomo Beho will translate into God's Wig Beho. Now, as we commemorate Ghana Month this March, we focus on Ewe names and why there always has to be the God factor in the name. The report is by Selinam Ampo, which translated into English means God is there for me, Ampo.
An ever friend of mine is called It Is in the Hands of God. That's a whole sentence, but it's a sentence which the Evers would simply summarize as Ele Mausi. They are known for their rich names, which always have interesting meanings and are full of praise to God. Temi de Maunu Amejeko, a shopkeeper, tells us what her name means and the circumstances surrounding her birth.
My Ewe name is Temi de Maunu. It means draw us closer to God. I learned I was a prophetic child, but before my birth, my father was quite a flirt, and he loves these Accra, big women and so on. So when the prophet visited that time and inquired of my mother, so as my mother came, she conceived me. And when she gave birth to me, they said, this is Temi de Maunu. I'm supposed to draw them from all evil, behaviors, attitude, and whatever.
Evers gave their children names that recognize the God factor before the advent of Christianity. They acknowledged the presence of a supreme being in their lives and referred to that force as Mau Sogbolisa. Social linguistics lecturer Evashed Amuzu explains how they apply it to their names.
Mau existed long before Christianity. So we always had the concept that there's Mau Sogbolisa. We have Mau names, Mauena, Mau Lolo, Mau Nyo, and so on. All of these, as I said before, the opportunity that the name givers have to praise God, to show the appreciation, and to signal one form or the other what they think God has done for them. Fer, for example, is another name for God. Mau is the one we talk about most of the time. Fer is the fuller version of Fer is Jogbese, the God of destiny. And always regard Mau as more or less also a God of destiny. So that Sena, Sarufia, Sedem, they were there long before Christianity.
Often, Evers get teased with their names, which are usually heavy on the tongue. Names like Buchomekpo, Mokpokpo, and Chwekeo are just a few. To prevent any slips or fumbling when pronouncing their names, some Evers translate their names into English.
It's also true that pronunciation of Ewe names may pose a problem to other people who do not speak Ewe. So some parents may decide that the concept that they want to express in Ewe, they will rather express it in English to reach out to all of that translated way. When I asked my father, he says that when I was born, he felt that God has always protected him, and my birth again shows that that is the case. So in Ewe, it means vovolimavo, everlasting shelter, vovolimavo, which he then translates into English as Evershed. But I happen to be the first to have that name.
For non-Ewes, Maybe they may have to eat a mussel of akple and okra to provide some fluidity on their tongues, just so they can mention these names without any struggle. But for the most part, other names praise God, and they have very beautiful meanings behind them. Selina.
So that report was by God is There For Me, Ampo. And up next we bring you the second dose of business with Esinam Afanu, which also translates into God has answered my prayer asset. Stay tuned in. Go live. Thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned. PM Express is up next.